Yeah,
But go ahead.
another question I had, I was going to ask. Um, it was going to be about like cosmic skeptic. I know Armin and I talked about it, but about how like he recently left veganism.
Oh yeah,
Oh
Armin.
yes. How
Armin
is
had
the
a debate
vegan
with him.
world?
Armin had a
Yes,
debate
yes.
with him on veganism. That was very
I
interesting.
think it was that my debate. That's what's convinced it.
That was 4 years ago.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No, no,
But
he might have, those points must have been hitting him the last 4 years.
No,
No,
personally, like, I lost so much respect for him when
I
he
gained
changed.
respect for him. No, I
No,
gained.
but
So
also,
you lost. I gain respect for somebody that can change their mind, especially when so many people are relying on you. Do you have any idea how crazy the vegan community can get? Do you know how? If I was Muslim,
Cult. They
okay,
behave like cults.
coming out, okay, as non-Muslim, okay, telling people like I was Muslim, non-Muslim, I would be less afraid than being vegan and coming out and saying, okay, I used to be vegan. I am no longer a vegan. That second one is more terrifying. Okay, so I admire the man's bravery for coming out and publicly. He was the most rational. Okay, he is the most rational vegan there was out there. Like when it comes to making arguments for veganism, you could not do better than this guy. There's nobody else like that even comes close to him. So the vegan community was like, this is. A lot of them were looking at him as if they're, especially the atheist one, who believe that people who are atheists should be rational and also be vegan. They were like hanging on this man's every word, and he had become their prophet. They were throwing this everywhere. And now, do you understand the level of anger that exists within the vegan community for him to come out and say that he's no longer a vegan? And especially the amount of radicalism that exists within this community. He has a mob after him who want to. I have seen threats of
but
RAPE.
just like putting all that
I have
aside,
threat.
like,
Yeah. Okay,
I don't.
okay.
I understand that. And my point was not about like how the community reacts, because communities online are always going to be toxic. I meant more like it feels a lot like you realize that, let's say you own slaves, you realize that owning slaves is really bad, and you stop doing it, and you start like going around telling people to stop doing it. You go around giving speeches. You're like literally saying like, hey, if you own slaves, you shouldn't be doing that. It's atrocious. Even if it comes at a cost to yourself, you need to stop. And then he just goes back to it. I don't know. It just feels like massive hypocrisy.
It's not massive hypocrisy. It's like admitting when you were wrong. It's an admission that you're wrong about something. What's wrong with that? This
Yeah,
is
but
not. This is not
it's not just
comparable.
about admitting it. It's
This is
about
not a good
realizing
comparison.
that. Yeah, sorry.
No.
No,
This
go
is not a good comparison because slavery is wrong. Okay, but eating meat, eating animal product is not wrong. And the difference between your example and his example is that he realized the problem with his arguments. But somebody going back to slavery, well, that's not a good change in opinion, because that's going backwards. This guy is like admitting that he was wrong about something.
But his reasoning is not that he changed his mind on whether eating meat is wrong, as much as he changed his mind on whether him eating meat would contribute to a change in a society, like in how many animals would be harmed. He feels like even like removing him as a meat eater would not change society that much.
That is him admitting being wrong. That is
Yeah, no.
that was my that was my argument. What we need for animal rights and animal well-being is policies, not individual people making different decisions. That's not going to help. Okay, especially when people have such a hard time picking the right food to remain get all the nutrition. Even people that have all the choices, they don't. It's difficult for them to make sure they get all their nutrition. And now you're going to limit a major part of what you can get, and you think like, oh, it's possible to still get everything. Yes, it's possible, but it's very difficult. So you're introducing something that is a major harm to individuals and not much benefit to animals, and also redirecting activism away from something that actually benefits animals. So animal rights activism, people associate that with veganism, where actual more productive animal rights activism would have been legal changes from the top down, not from individual changes. And all this hijacking of animal rights into promoting veganism has made more animals suffer because of the redirection of activism into somewhere that is not as productive. So what he's saying actually makes complete sense. You're saying he's not saying he's wrong because this is his reasoning, but what his reasoning is exactly that his views before were wrong.
No. What I meant was that he's not saying that eating meat is moral. He recognizes that it is not, but he believes that him not eating meat would not would not lead to like a big change in. But
that's exactly the point. No, that's it. I agree with that. I told him in my debate, yes, this is immoral, but we cannot not do everything. Like I told, the example I give is that if my air conditioner being on is immoral, okay? Because I could have made my situation a little bit more uncomfortable, okay? And save the money and donate it to, I don't know, like children in Turkey being under earthquake. So the fact that I have my aircon on shows that I prefer my comfort more than saving children. So the thing is that it's not just eating animals. There's many things you do. The fact that you have a fridge, the fact that you buy a phone, so many things you do that technically in isolation are immoral. But what you should expect from people to make this world more moral is not to stop everything that you could find as immoral, because there's so many things. It's for us to just be a little bit more moral, not to remove everything, because the arguments that you make for veganism, I could make for everything. I could make that for your PlayStation. I could make that for driving a car. I could make that for buying a watch. I could make that for everything. And to expect people to do everything morally paralyzes you to the point that you don't even care about being moral. So the expectation that we should have from people is not to remove everything immoral from their life, is to just try to make one step progress, be a little bit more moral, not to be completely avoid of immorality.
All right,
that's my argument.
I think we've got that. Okay, any one of you guys want to check it out? There's a very interesting conversation between Armin Navabi and Cosmic Skeptic on veganism, and there's a little clip as well from Cosmic Skeptic clips. But this is the debate on Atheist Republic. It's there. It's about an hour and a half, an hour and 45 minutes long. And I think, Armin did really well in that. I mean, even though I've always stepped short of becoming a vegan, but I'm not fully convinced from the ethical side of it. I get the nuances, and I'm not going to debate my lock horns with Armin Navabi on the pros and cons of veganism, but I do say that if I'm a goat, I would rather not want you eat me. But all the environmental parts and all the health benefits, I think those are secondary BS arguments by vegans. But anemia, and I tried being a vegan twice, and I failed. I think my second attempt lasted for about 3 months or something like that. It was almost impossible for me. But having said that, though, I cannot say factory farming and all of that crap, that's bad. But vegans also go fully absolutely crazy in that suffering element, because then they say, well, the more farming land you need, the more suffering is going to cause microbials and little earthworms and all that kind of crap. So it does damage the environment. So I get it, and I'm just going to go with the status quo. And I'm going to say, I tend not to eat. I don't eat beef as much. I enjoy an occasional steak. I don't eat, lamb or goat, or I don't eat many animal products. But I do eat chicken, and that's where most of my protein intake comes from. And I get it. And the way I have rationalized it is like, chickens are stupid. So they're not going to suffer as much.
It's not about that. It's not about being smart. Oh my God.
Well, it is. No. There's a hierarchy of that as well. The suffering.
No, it's not.
Okay.
The trait is not smartness. If it was about smartness, then we'd be okay to kill dumb people. That's not the trait that makes it.
No. Comparing an earthworm with a dumb people. So that goes into speciation.
You changed my point.
No, hang on, listen to my point. Speciation. As a species, whether we're dumb or not, as a species, we have to respect our own fellow
Why?
humans. That's it. Well, yeah, because that's the draw. No, that's the survivalism of your own species, and that's a basic
Okay, see,
requirement of
you're
any
making
society.
a Darwinism point. You just
No.
became a Nazi.
No, I didn't.
You're
No,
making
no.
naturalistic arguments for morality. That's Nazism. Congratulations, Alex.
No. That's a terrible straw man. That's a terrible.
I'm kidding. That's social Darwinism. That's social. It's not Nazi. So that's called social Darwinism.
Yeah, that goes amongst races. I'm not going into races. I'm going in species. I'm looking at a species level.
No, it's not. I'm not talking about race. I'm talking about social Darwinism. I was exaggerating when I said Nazism.
Yes, exactly.
That is social Darwinism.
But
that's wrong.
No. This is not social Darwinism. So when we go with species, when we look at species, that's it. Human species at the top. I don't care. Yeah, if monkeys had the ability.
You just said we have to like survival of our species. You just made a Darwinistic point for morality. That's called social Darwinism. That is absolutely wrong.
Social Darwinism goes into that. Okay, we go into the survival of the fittest model. We go into further categorization within our species as well. Like, okay,
not necessarily. You're appealing to nature.
But that's where it gets dangerous, right? No. That's what gets. In general, morality, you have to make a utilitarian argument for it. You can't go into nature and say because something was natural and because something is a natural law, then we have to use our moral principles, copying what is evolutionary, seems to be like metaphorically at the purpose of evolutionary processes. That is completely beside. In fact, in many cases, it's the opposite. For example, if you look at nature through the process of evolution, what tends to survive is the fittest. But we have a different definition of what fittest means. But if you look at actually what works from a moral perspective and what we try to apply in our as our standards, both legally and morally, is the opposite. Is the opposite of what works in. So how would you? No, you're not understanding my. No, you're not understanding.
I haven't even finished my point, though. I haven't even finished my point. For example, what we do is that we try to take care of the weakest. I'm not saying that this is the point you're making. I know you're not talking about survival of the fittest. I'm just using an example of trying to show that we don't look at nature to try to see what we should doing morally. So you're saying that. Here's the question: why do we have to take care of our species more than chickens? Why?
Yeah, because we're going to put our survival first.
Why?
Because we want to survive like any species. We want to survive, and we have the control and the means to decide. So we're 100 out of 100, million out of million. We would always pick our species. And you can't make a utilitarian argument in that, because if there is an advanced species that can be better custodians of this planet and that can be better for all the other life forms on Earth, we would still say, F you, we're going to keep ourselves in charge, even though we're stupider than you, this advanced alien species. And why? It's because this is a natural tendency of every species to look for its best. And we have bigger brains, and we can make a claim that and on these bases alone, we can make the point that we want to survive.
So I was completely correct. You're appealing to nature,
yes,
right?
That's fine.
So
it's a natural desire.
Not fine.
It's a natural desire.
That's a fallacy. Yes. That's a logical fallacy.
So not to tell me how is that a logical fallacy.
Okay, so for example, if you want to appeal to our nature, it's like we have a natural tendency to take care of other human beings more than other species. Okay, so because of that, you're saying it's moral because it's natural. That is exactly an appeal to nature. For example, if that is true, then you could justify racism with that as well.
No,
because we have you just because you interrupt me, that doesn't make a good argument. But I haven't finished my point. I haven't finished.
God, I know where you're going with that, but this is such a stupid point.
Let me make a point from other people as well.
Okay, make the point.
Okay, so I'm not saying that you are saying racism was okay because it's natural. I'm not saying that you're saying it. You're saying taking. I'm not saying that you're not saying that. Okay, I'm saying that I understand that. I understand that you're saying because naturally we're more interested in taking care of our species, then it's okay. It justifies morally for us to prioritize our species. But if you want to use, I know that this is not your point, but that line of reasoning can be applied to the fact that we naturally are tribal. We are naturally more interested in taking care of people who look like us than people who don't look like us. So if one natural argument can be applied, another natural can be applied as well.
Okay.
I know you know it. I was just trying to get to ideas, but they understand as well.
Okay, I get it. I think people do understand that. So this is a problem with people like you. When you say that, okay, since you have built this argument on nature, therefore everything else has to follow the same line of reasoning. That's not how it works. The more nuances that you add, you can draw a line and you can put a full stop that it stops at the species. All of these models, this is why they become arbitrary. This is why we say the different lines of reasoning within when we define moralities and ethics as well. This is why sometimes utilitarianism works, sometimes other lines of reasoning work. So when I say, when it comes to other species, we will appeal to nature. So now when I say appeal to nature, that doesn't mean that when it comes to race, when it comes to rape, when it comes to cannibalism, we can apply the same line of reasoning. No, we can stop at the species, and then after that we can go into other moral principles. We can. There's no problem with that. I just told you. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Sorry, go on. Okay, go on.
I know. Oh my God, Harris.
You're saying that it would lead to that. I know you're saying that leads to that.
I know that you say that you could make this argument appeal to nature when it comes to species, and you can't make that on race. I know that, because if you didn't think that, you would be a racist, and I know you're not. Okay, but I'm saying that but you don't have any arguments for why. So tell me, for example, if we are saying, maybe you do. If you do, you have to say it. You say, like, we have to draw a line. We appeal to nature to show that we prefer our species. But when it comes to race, we don't appeal to nature. We draw a line. I'm like, okay, great, we draw a line. Why? If I use the argument, okay, so here's the question, okay? If I say, because it's natural for us to prefer our own species, then it's okay to prefer our species, but because it's natural to prefer our own race, but in that situation, it's not okay to prefer our own race. Tell me why the appeal to nature works on one of them and the appeal on nature does not work on the other one.
That's very easy. Now we can go into utilitarianism. We could say that, okay, there's no evidence that other species deserve less human rights. Other races deserve less human rights. We can create better societies that are more multicultural, that are more inclusive and populist, that are more egalitarian, and therefore we don't have to be tribal when it comes to races.
Okay, so perfect. So the appeal to nature was not necessarily from the beginning. Okay,
from the beginning.
So no, it wasn't, because both had the appeal to the nature, right? One of them had a utilitarian argument, the other one didn't. So the differentiating thing was not the nature. The differentiating thing was the cost and benefit. So you didn't even need to appeal to nature.
I'll tell you how that's dangerous. Now let me pick holes in your utilitarianism when it comes to protecting your own species. You're saying, okay, well, that's more beneficial. Beneficial for who? Like I gave you an example. If there's an advanced alien species comes and they say, well, sorry, you've destroyed this planet. You've destroyed you've contributed to the suffering of most species. So let us take over. We're going to press a button and we're going to make you go extinct. And, it would be better for the planet, better for the rest of the species. How are you going to go by that? How are you going to say no?
Well, this is a misunderstanding of utilitarianism. Utilitarianism does not mean what is best for me. Utilitarianism means what's best for everybody.
Yes.
So obviously making somebody go extinct, that's not going to be utilitarianism. Utilitarianism based on
cost and
utilitarianism.
benefit.
That would not be
no, it is cost and benefit. More species are going to get benefit out of that by us going extinct.
No. This is why you have to understand the difference between act utilitarianism and rule utilitarianism.
Tell me how, but tell me how would you tell them no?
So because we apply rule utilitarianism, right? So we have certain things that act like principles but are not principles, right? Because if you allow that principle, like rule, then that will apply to them as well. You know what I mean? So if something comes above them, they would have to submit to that. So instead of coming with rule utilitarianism, instead of looking at what is allowed in every single situation, we look at the rules that if you allow, okay, would cause the highest amount of well-being, and the rules that if you disallow would reduce the highest amount of misery. Right? So just because the same argument that you're making against me, like, oh, okay, so how you wouldn't have any argument against that alien being for him to come and wipe you, right? So they shouldn't wipe us, because you could make the same argument for them, that alien species. They shouldn't apply that rule to us, because if they do, that rule will also apply to them, and somebody else could come and wipe them out.
They would deal with it then. And yes, if they're applying that rule again, okay. Well, no, very quickly though. That's so easy. So they would be like, yes, we would. No, I do understand. They would say yes or no. They may not apply the rule on us because we will be better custodians of the planet. We will cause less suffering to other living beings on the planet than you have, and we would be better than you. Therefore, if an more advanced alien species comes to us, they would look at the results. They would say, "Whoa, everything is hunky-dory here. No one's suffering. So voila, we're gone."
Okay, so we have a disagreement. I just believe that the simple rule of not exterminating entire species is a good rule, productive rule to have, right? And with rule utilitarianism, instead of applying that calculation every single time, perpetuating and promoting certain rules is more beneficial than constantly running the calculation.
Would you wipe out? Would you wipe out the virus that causes malaria? Would you make that?
No. We're talking about self-aware entities. Yeah. We're talking about self-aware people. We don't care at all about anything that is not self-aware.
Okay, fine. So let's just go back to the original argument. So you say my argument would be better in that we can appeal to nature, our selfish desire to survive. Would be, and by the way, also utilitarian, you cannot actually, that's very robotic. You cannot, because the nature would actually not care about us getting wiped out or not. There's still a desire to survive, and cost benefit.
We don't care about what nature doesn't care about anything.
Exactly. So going back to our argument that if we appeal to nature, that there is a desire to survive, which is within the norms of nature. We have a desire to survive like any other species, and therefore we will make our decisions for ourselves. And if a few species get wiped out along the way, that's bad luck. And you don't have to apply the same line of reasoning amongst different races, because you can apply the utilitarian principle there, as I said.
So the whole reason why we have a utilitarian argument is because we care. Okay, we care, right? And this is the whole idea of what we apply this care to is our choice. Utilitarianism and morality is not something that is ingrained with nature. These are social agreements, right? And as humans that we are coming up with the social agreements, and we can decide to be more inclusive or less inclusive. That's a choice, right? So we could make utilitarian arguments where humans matter and other animals don't
matter less.
Well, or less. But we are growing to evolve, socially are evolving to be more inclusive in the circle, and I think that is better. I like that we're moving. There's no hard rule for how wide or narrow the circle has to be. But we are moving in this direction. We're allowing bunnies and chickens and everybody else. That's good.
Yeah, but I just showed you
the world without suffering.
No, but I showed you that you can add another nuance to that. We can add on another nuance on that principle as well. We don't have to go full nature in everything. Survival of the fittest, disabled people, throw them off the rooftops. No, we're not saying that. And it can be perfectly fine. So you can adopt, and this is the problem with a lot of theists actually pose that to us. They're like, oh, because you're an atheist, because you're arbitrary, your morality could be arbitrary. Therefore, why would you not support incest or eugenics or whatever? So they just go like, okay, no, hang on a second. When you add different nuances, you can always go into so the vast example that we use is minimalization of suffering and maximizing of pleasure. So
Yeah.
this is a very broad definition. Where does everything fit in? Like would
Self-awareness.
yeah, that's fine. But yeah,
So
but,
here's the thing. Or general awareness, actually. So here's the thing. I don't actually disagree with you that humans should be prioritized. Okay,
I know that.
I prioritize human. I just think that the trait that makes us prioritize humans is not intelligence. Okay, I think the trait that makes we prioritize
no,
human,
neither is
like,
mine.
yeah, okay,
I'm,
good. So
I'm
we agree on that.
much smarter. No, I'm actually using a more primitive reasoning behind that. I'm saying we are species. We have to look for our betterment. Even if there's more intelligent alien being that comes, we will fight it for our survival. Even if they are better for every other species on Earth.
I think it's not the fact that they're not human. Like, it's not like speciesism, and it's not intelligence. It's awareness. Like, if we had bunnies coming and talking to us and making a philosophical argument for why, I don't know, utilitarianism is not as good as we think it is, I think we would not kill and eat that bunny. Okay?
Exactly.
I think we will. Okay, so that bunny.
Intelligence. That goes intelligence.
It's not intelligence. Like, even if we had a dumb dummy, okay, bunny, we had a dumb bunny, like, let's say, for example,
it would still be smarter than any other animal.
Okay, yeah, but
because here's the argument, Armin. Listen,
it's not intelligence. It's the fact that we're saying this bunny is aware of its inexistence. We
do associate suffering with comprehension or with intelligence. We do. We don't.
Comprehension, yes. Intelligence, no.
Yes, we don't mind. Some of the nicest people on Earth, we don't mind if a fly is annoying us, like, freaking kill that shit. We're not going to do that to a dog or a cat. We just won't do it. Just because in our mind we think that these animals are more advanced animals and the suffering is larger. Okay. And also size is another one. Is another one. We also base it on size as well for some reason.
No, like, here's the thing. A pig is smarter than a baby seal. Okay?
Yeah.
But we care about baby seals more than we care about pigs. We because they're cute.
But these are bad habits. Yeah, but these are bad habits that you're talking about. We go by cuteness. Yeah, I know. These are bad habits that we have established. But when I spoke about earlier about earthworm, and I said, well, I would, I wouldn't feel bad about killing an earthworm, but eating a goat, it tells me that, okay, with that, the element of suffering in a goat would be higher than that of an earthworm. And so so intelligence does play a role. When people realize that how elephants suffer, how they mourn the loss of the death, people feel more about elephants than people feel about, let's say, earthworms, cockroaches. They don't care.
Okay.
Anyway,
well, Vikram, we hijacked your. Sorry, Vikram. Yeah.
No worries. I had something else to talk about, the cosmic skeptic thing, but we've completely kind of moved away from that now.
We got a good monologue out of that, and we scared away a lot of people. There was like 80 people watching us. Anyway.
Yeah. What I was going to say was that I understand, like, say, because there were many ways he could have kept with his moral system, but maybe eaten stuff that's more, I guess, animal kind of a bit. Like, if he started eating mollusk or certain seafoods that are not sentient, he could have kept to his moral framework and just fixed whatever issue he had with, like, proteins or whatever. But yeah, it made no sense for why, like, or maybe he could have gone vegetarian, or maybe like just like once a week meat or whatever. But I feel like he's kind of an extreme guy. He went vegan right away, even though he couldn't do it, and then he went.
Wait, how do you know? How do you know? How do you know that when he says he's not a vegan anymore, that he's not just only eating mussels, for example?
Because he mentions that in the post that he made.
What, he says he's eating full on chickens and steak and all now?
Let's see.
Harris, while he looks for that, I want to ask you a question, right? So why not, if we're a meat eater, okay, why not just eat animals that don't have a brain?
I built my whole case against it. I said I feel not as bad as eating chicken as I feel bad about eating cows, eating a cow, yeah.
Nope.
Or go the other way. No, so chicken
No,
are
I'm
less
talking about
intelligent cows.
animals that have no brains at all. There's no
Yeah.
way to suffer them to suffer at all, right?
Yeah,
Like
that's fine.
why not just eat? It's healthy too. It's very healthy. Why not
Yeah,
just eat like shellfish?
Yeah, eat it.
No, okay. But do you eat chicken?
I do eat chicken, yeah.
Okay, why do you eat chicken given that you can eat just shellfish and mussels?
No, so
you can
yeah.
get your
so-
meat.
Yeah, look, shellfish doesn't quench your or
Oh, so
satisfy
it's
you.
pleasure.
meat.
So it's not health. It's just pleasure.
No.
you
I
make
never
chicken.
said no.
You make chicken suffer for your pleasure, for your.
Yeah,
taste
I know,
buds.
but I would admit that it is not the ideal circumstance. But I cannot also not live without eating meat, consuming meat. I make a realistic argument. If there were, I mean, here it is. I've always said it. If there was an alternative, when lab-grown meat becomes accessible for everyone to eat, I would hands down every time I would go eat.
Oh,
lab-grown
that's
meat.
easy. Oh my God! Well, that's obviously.
Oh,
Like
no,
I would
I mean-
obviously. If you make it very convenient for me, then I will stop torturing animals. But just make it very convenient for me. Thank you very much.
No,
Until then, the chickens
But,
will suffer from my taste buds.
One thing about-
but I also recognize our biological limitations as well. Yeah, like the best thing would have been we drew energy from this biggest
Just come to
source of
my
energy in the
side.
sky.
Just come to my side. You know what I say? I eat chicken. I eat steak. Do you know what I say? I know it's immoral. I'm doing immoral things. Just like my aircon. Just like my heater. I'm not going to... I know that what I'm
Not
doing
as-
is immoral.
Um,
But what I'm doing
There's
is
a
like
hierarchy.
I'm not good. Yeah, but what I'm going to try to do is not to remove everything immoral from my life. I'm just trying to be more moral, not complete a goddamn saint. Vikram, go on.
No,
Yeah,
hang on, Vikram.
Oh,
No, but you said more moral. Yeah, that's a good goal to have. We want to live a more ethical and moral life than
Not
less
completely
moral, less
moral.
ethical.
Yeah.
Yes, but there are these little baby steps along the way. So, for example, using the aircon 24/7 is damaging for the environment, but that is not as bad as torturing an animal. Like we are individualists.
It's worse. It's worse actually. My aircon is worse. I'm telling you, if I turn my aircon 2 degrees higher, I don't even have to turn it off. Okay, 2 degrees higher. With the money that I could save from that, okay, I could feed a child for a starving child for a year in Africa. A year.
That goes in the argument of okay. So that goes in a collective argument. It's like okay, so if the amount of money that I earn, all the extra money, if I take out all my leisures out of that, like my fun and enjoyment money, and I put it away. No. Like let's say I make $100,000, and I only need for my bare minimum, for bare essentials, I only need $20,000 and $80,000. I donate that $80,000 every year. That's not going to remove poverty from the world. So there would still be suffering. Oh
my God, who's talking about removing poverty? I'm just talking about the life of one child.
Yeah,
I didn't say, I'm not talking about whether or not I could eliminate poverty. I'm not talking about changing the world. I'm talking about one, even if I can't eliminate poverty, I can save that one child. I'm convincing you that I'm evil and you're trying to convince me otherwise. I'm like saying I am. Yeah,
No,
this is. It's not an all. It's not what is. It's not a all or all, doing something that is beneficial. It's not only. It doesn't only make sense to do something good for the world only if you could solve the entirety of the situation.
No.
This is not a 0 or 100.
That's
this is not binary.
Exactly. So. No, I get that point, and this is why I'm saying that when you so it comes at a cost, and you say, okay, I've given up so much of my quality of life over one individual, and yes, that individual's life would be improved tenfold or whatever, but my quality of life would also go down. You would want to do it. I get it. Charity is good, but drawing pleasure from that would not be satisfying enough, because there would always be poor people. There would always be homeless people. There would always. I get it. I know you're not saying that. Okay, well, it doesn't.
And we shouldn't do anything moral. because anything moral you do will not eliminate.
That's why. That's why philanthropy doesn't work.
Nothing works. Anything you want to. Why are you doing activism against Islam? Because you yourself cannot eliminate Islam. Why give money to the poor?
I swear, I believe I can. I swear, I believe I can. I swear on Darwin. I would not be doing it if I didn't. No, okay.
You yourself?
I genuinely believe. No, not entirely myself, but I know that when the movement grows, and all of us, it gets bigger and bigger, and then it gets better. So
okay, in that case, I can make that case for poverty as well. Poverty will eliminate it as well. If I help with poverty, I'm not going to be. Hold on, let me finish my point, because you finish your point.
Yeah.
Then in that case, if you are saying that you by yourself cannot remove Islam, but together we can, then I will make the same case. One day poverty will be eliminated from the world. So together we work together and we make it happen. I myself, I'm not going to be able to remove poverty. But if I was part of the solution, we would have been one step closer in that direction.
So philanthropy, it's different, because philanthropy doesn't actually work that way. I'm a big fan of Imran Khan in that case, because when he was a philanthropist before he became a prime minister. And that resonated with me for a very long time. And he said, I can create 10, he can kill himself for the rest of his life, and he can create 10 cancer hospitals. He's only managed to create 2 or 3, I think. He said, but still that would not remove poverty and suffering from Pakistan on a scale if he becomes a prime minister. So this is why I believe the individual contributions, yes, they look cute and pretty, and it satisfies you, but poverty can only be alleviated, and human suffering can be removed only by governments. I genuinely believe that. So
it's okay if philanthropy doesn't work. Okay, so if it's government, then the right politicians in power would have fixed poverty. So that money that I would save from the 2 degrees higher would be me. I would spend it on political activism. I would spend it on the campaigns. It doesn't matter what the solution is. No. So therefore, by making my room comfortable, I am doing an evil act. Because if you're saying that political activism would actually solve poverty more, then that money that I would save from my air conditioner, instead of giving it to the poor, I would spend it on wherever you are saying that actually helps remove poverty. Whatever you think is the best solution, I would spend it on that. Political activism to get the right people in power. Say no more. That's where it would go. But no, it would not go there. You know why? Because I like to be comfortable. Because I like to live work in a room that is exactly the temperature that makes me the most comfortable. So I am prioritizing my comfort over people starving to death.
No. I can turn that argument around too. I can say, well, no, your health and your comfort is important, because if you turn it up 2 degrees higher or less, that would create an environment comfortable enough for you to be able to achieve your goals, that is destroying Islam. So therefore, it is absolutely essential for you to lower it by 2 degrees and damage the environment just a teeny bit and play a role. So that is not really evil. That is still good, because you're doing something bigger.
Exactly. So you came to my point, because I am saying that if you try to be moral everywhere, it will paralyze you. It will make you a non-productive member of society.
That's not the point you made initially.
That's moral paralysis.
Yeah. I go, but initially that wasn't the point you made. So I think it started with animal. You said, why don't you eat chicken, shellfish?
That's the argument I make for eating chicken. Okay, because chicken makes me happy. Okay, and I need to be happy.
Yeah, I accepted that.
So that's what the whole point. I'm saying. Okay. I have a little bit of evil in my life. Okay, it's not that it's not evil. I'm just saying I can't be completely not evil. Okay.
No, I never said that.
Everybody is somewhat. I know. We're agreeing. Harris.
I know. No. But I don't want to conflate the two positions either, because my point was, I eat chicken. I am choosing the lesser evil of let's say 3 options. I'm not eating cow and pigs. They're more complicated animals based on intelligence and suffering. So I go with chicken. And you say, no, you can go one step further, and you can go eat shellfish. That's what you're saying, yeah? So so we're agreeing there, and I'm saying, no, I am making a lesser evil option, but not the least evil option. Oh no,
exactly.
Yeah. So I'm fine with that.
Exactly. Yeah, so I'm fine with that as well. I know that I could. No, So I'm just saying I could go to a lesser evil, which is shellfish instead of chicken, but I'm eating chicken. Okay, I'm eating chicken because I really love chicken. I could be a lesser evil somewhere else. You know what I mean? I'd rather, like, for example, donate money to, I don't know, against factory farming and eat my chicken. Okay, I will be in this part. I'm not going to be a saint. I will contribute somewhere else because you can't contribute everywhere. You can't be good everywhere. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying too.
Yeah, we are agreeing. I know
I was
we're.
being less evil. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Poor Vikram.
yeah. Okay,
Poor Vikram.
Vikram. Sorry. Last point, Vikram, because we have to. I'm getting hungry talking about chicken. So, to be honest.
No, I was just going to say, and I'll just make that my last point. I was just going to say that if not everybody can go like vegan right away or whatever, so whoever's like interested in it, and I feel like Cosmic Skeptic should have done that. They should do what Rationality Rose has been doing, which is that I think he went. At first, he was like mostly pescatarian. Then he became, I think, a pescatarian. Now he's on vegetarian, and he took like a whole lot of years, but it's like it's like baby steps, like step by step over years. And I think he said by next year or 2 years from now he'll be vegan. And I feel like
Are you
a
vegan?
lot of like what's what
Vikram?
Cosmic Skeptic should have done. Like instead of trying to go extreme right away, like kind of baby step it.
Are you vegan, Vikram?
Yeah, we've talked about it before.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying it so people know.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Because for me it was easy because growing up, like because I came from a Hindu background, I always ate vegetarian. So yeah, and I only ate chicken as meat before, so it was quite easy for me. But not everybody is gonna have like this easy of a time. So for other people, it makes sense to just like just improve as much as you can, but you don't need to go all in right away.
Wait, I need to address this guy. This guy is so funny. This guy thinks that religious people thinking that they own words and it doesn't belong to other people. So this guy's saying atheists using the terms like evil, LOL, 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 laughing emoji, tears of joy emoji, tears of joy emoji, tears of joy emoji. We use the term evil because words are a social construct and we can define it the way we want. You don't have a monopoly over evil. In fact, not only do we use the word evil, I will tell you that non-atheistic viewpoints are evil. Religion is evil. So yeah, we use it and we use it against religion. God is evil. So you think that you have a monopoly over good and bad and evil. Yeah, you don't. You are actually, your source of morality is actually evil itself.
Yeah, and even if you're an atheist, you can still say like, oh my God, or even thank God as an expression. Even you don't actually mean like a God, you know?
I avoid them as much as I can, but I'm like, yeah, I understand. Like, even if you use it, it's no big deal.
Get my best-selling book, Why There Is No God, for free. Click on the link for it in the description.